Hello and welcome back to the Analyst Vajiram and Ravi. Today is 27th of October. So what are the important topics of the day? Let's have a look. But before that, a gentle reminder that do download the handout of this discussion from the description box. So now, let's dive into the topics. In the first one, we will deal about the need, the prospect and the government initiatives to modernize the defense in India. In the second one, we will read about an interesting case of forum hunting or forum shopping, which is seen prevalent in Indian judiciary. In the third one, we will see the case of clean and green hydrogen. Next, we will read about Apaar ID, which is for the students under the One Nation, One Student ID initiative of the central government. And in the last, we will see what is lead poisoning in India, and what are its health implications on India. So let's get started. So our first topic is modernization of defense in India. Why are we reading about this? Because very recently our Army Chief General Manoj Pandey has said that India is putting significant focus to leverage the infusion of modern technology in order to augment and leverage the capacities of Indian Army. This topic is very, very important because it deals with two parts of the syllabus. One is your GS2, where you have to read about the government policies and intervention in the defense sector as well. And in the third one, because we have to read about security challenges, border management, and also indigenization of technology. So it caters to all these parts of the syllabus together. Hence, becomes very, very important, needs your kind attention. First of all, before beginning, what is the modernization of defense? In order to understand this concept, please understand that when we talk about modernization, it does not simply means to use the emerging or the advanced technologies in the defense sector from anywhere, to import it from US, Canada, Russia, China, and then say that we have modernized. No, there are actually two facets to modernize the defense in India. The first one is to first of all and very naturally utilize and integrate the emerging technologies, for example, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, 5G technology, big data analytics, all of them. So utilizing emerging technologies in the defense architecture of the country. And the second one is to ramp up the indigenized production of these technologies or the defense products which are integrated with these technologies. So the second facet is very important, which is the indigenization of defense in India. These two facets collectively will lead to modernization of defense in India. Now, once we have read about this, let's talk about the second aspect. What is the need of defense modernization in India? Now, first of all, if you are seeing the global geopolitics around you, you will be able to understand one thing, that the war is no more fought on the land front alone these days. That was a traditional warfare. But now there are many non-traditional warfares and many different non-traditional fronts that are coming up. Which are these? These are cyber warfare. These are warfare for space. Collectively, along with the traditional warfare, they are also known as the hybrid warfare. So because there is changing threat perception, changing levels of threat, changing level of their landscape. Therefore, alone having just defense equipments will not help. We also need to integrate the existing technologies, the emerging technologies, so that we can augment our capabilities in order to deal with these multi-dimensional menace. So that we can have an iron fist against this multi-dimensional warfare. Second is to address the technological asymmetry that is going on. If we look into our adversaries, for example China, for example Pakistan, you will be able to see that they are investing heavily in technology development. China, for example, is investing in developing 5G technology. There is USA, which is trying to create mother of all bombs. There is Russia, which is trying to create father of all bombs. So where does India lie in between? So therefore, India needs to fill up this technological asymmetry. This is not because we want to attack somebody. This is because we want to create a deterrence. We want to again create an iron fist so that they know that we are not weak. Therefore, it is very important for us to modernize and to augment our technologies. Second, inadequate equipments. So India right now is challenged on all the three fronts. When it comes to army, we do not have enough defense equipments, for example tanks. When it comes to Air Force, we do not have enough aircrafts, enough UAVs or drones, most of which are imported or used or developed via transfer of technology. And then Navy. So Navy is also compromised. We do not have enough sonars and radars. We also do not have submarines. So most of the equipments that India uses right now is heavily imported. India is heavily import dependent on procurement of its defense equipment, which gives us the second rank in the world after Saudi Arabia in terms of the number of defense equipments procured or imported from the other nations. So we are ranking at the second position. Why is this happening? There are two reasons. First of all, of late, there has been very low private investment in defense production in India. And second, there is also low investment on the R&D. And because of this, a lot of innovations and productions could not really penetrate in the soils of India when it comes to defense. So third reason is the inadequate equipments. So we need to ramp up that also. Not only that, a very interesting need is the economic industrial growth, prospects of developing a defense industry. How are both of them correlated? See, when you see defense, it is not a very small industry. In fact, it has got a foothold in many other industries. For example, it procures input from the semiconductor industry. It also has chains with transport and communication industry, with infrastructure, with road development, etc. So when it basically has a very strong multiplier effect, the moment you invest heavily into defense sector or into domestic manufacturing of the defense in India, you will have a spillover effect on the other sectors of the economy also. This will eventually boost the economic growth, the job growth of the country. So therefore, it also has an economic bearing on it. Next is challenging strategic environment. So currently, if you see that India is challenged from two ways. First of all, it's internal security challenges, and then we have security challenges from our dear neighborhoods. So when it comes to the border challenges from our neighborhood, we are able to see that there are multiple ceasefire violations by Pakistan, by China. Then we see that there are porous borders in or across Bangladesh and Myanmar. So there is heavy infiltration. There is heavy migration going on. Also, there is a lot of human trafficking that is seen across this side of the border. India is also sandwiched between the Golden Crescent and the Golden Triangle, which are the hubs for drug trafficking in the world. So, we are also challenged by the menace of drug trafficking. But these were only the border related challenges. We also have got some internal security challenges. We have got the Naxalist affected red corridors in the eastern part of the India. We have got some secessionist movement going on in the northeast. We have got insurgency movement going on in Jammu and Kashmir. And not only that, we have got a vast coastline. So the challenges that we incur from the maritime boundary is also not any less. So basically, India is strategically at a very vulnerable position. And therefore, we need to ramp up our defense game also. But this is only the first strategic challenge that we are seeing. The second one is imposed by the Chinese, by the rising Chinese ambitions. So if you see it in a way that China is not only trying to expand itself via ocean, not only trying to put its foothold in the Indian Ocean region, but also in the continents via its project of OBOR, One Belt, One Road initiative, which has just now completed 10 years. And also, it is creating challenges for the Indian borders, because you can see a lot of constructions taking place on the Chinese side of the Indo-China border. So therefore, we need to make a more alert and we need to enhance or ramp up our defense capabilities. Then it should also be, or it is also in line of us achieving our foreign policy goal. What is that? To become a regional power, at least in the IOR region, in the Indian Ocean region. We want to become a net security provider. If we want to become a net security provider, we should be having defense capabilities which are second to none. So therefore, again, it is very important to develop and modernize the defense. Last but not the least, technology can be of immense benefit if we want to enable and protect our dear soldiers. So, via using modern technologies like drones, you can perform effective surveillance across the areas which have got huge threat on the life of man or on the life of defense personnel. Then you can also use drones to have simplified logistics across difficult terrains, for example, your Siachen Glacier or for example, Ladakh region. Then we can also utilize the bots in the detection of mines, in neutralization of mines, also in automation of the combat system. For example, we have got lethal automated weapon systems laws that is developed by DRDO. Also, DRDO has developed Mars system, which is effective in handling the explosive on its own without threatening the life of a defense personnel. So this way, we are trying to not only multiply the force of our defense personnels, but we are also trying to augment the surveillance, provide facilities of seamless logistic, and also protecting their lives. This can also be done by shielding them through advanced personnel protection equipments. Now these could be your gears or some clothing material. Gears, for example, helmets that are aided with sensors and cameras. So for example, the Shakti helmet that is developed by DRDO is one such example. So these are the important needs of modernizing the defense. Once we have understood the cruciality of the need, let's understand how do we literally modernize the defense of India. What are the suggestions for it, and what are the governmental initiatives in this line? So first of all, in order to approach moving towards this suggestion, we need to again go back to the two facets. One is to first of all integrate the modern technologies, and second is to indigenize the production of the defense equipment and defense production. So across these two facets, we will look what the suggestions can be. When it comes to integrating modern technologies, they can be integrated across three fronts. First is the surveillance, second is the combat, and then the defense security, the entire defense security, including the borders. Now, when it comes to surveillance, it should be integrated with AI. For example, across the India-China border, India has got an integrated AI-based surveillance. And second, across the India-Myanmar border, we have got smart fencing that is developed by Indian Army. Then, we also have unmanned air vehicles, and we have also got unmanned ground vehicles which can penetrate or reach out to those areas which are either inaccessible to the army personnel or either they are dangerous for their lives. So you can utilize them. For example, DRDO has produced Rustam, Netra, and again some bot deployments can be done. Then when it comes to combat, we have already seen that combat needs to be augmented also, so that it can be automated without any human intervention again and again. This will improve the efficiency and will also lessen up the threat on the life of a person. So when it comes to automatic combat, we have got laws, that is lethal automated weapon system. It has got some pre-programmed algorithms in it. So what it does, due to these algorithms, it is very easily able to automatically detect the target, the threat perception, and is able to very quickly engage with it without any human command. So this also does away with the delay that is caused. Next, have a robust defense security infrastructure. Defense security is one among the critical infrastructure of the country. I've already taught you about this. Critical infrastructure is that which has a bearing on the national security of the country and also has a bearing on how its economy is performing. So therefore, in order to protect the data, in order to protect the critical information and the entire infrastructure of the defense architecture, there needs to be some steps, there are some steps which needs to be taken. One such step is creation of National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center. Next, let's see the governmental efforts in order to indigenize the defense in India. So the first one, initiated with commencement of many committees. So it was Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Committee of 1995, which for the first time recommended that we should be having 70% of our defense products indigenized by 2005. This aim is unfortunately not fulfilled yet, but we are in the right direction. Next was the Naresh Chandra Committee. This was instrumental in giving us our Chief of Defence Staff and integrated theatre command, and it also talked about modernizing or using the emerging technologies in the defence architecture. So these were some of the early committees in the line of indigenization. The first move was taken by the government by putting up an embargo on the import of certain defence items. So a list was created, more than 100 items was incorporated into that. And the import of those were heavily restricted. Rather, they had to be now produced in a self-reliant manner inside the Indian economy, inside the Indian frontier. That was the idea of the government. In order to give it a more positive connotation, it was renamed and named as Positive Indigenization List. And here again, a list is produced which will be having some defense equipments list of that, and that from there we will try to have Make in India, or we will try to have indigenized production of these particular equipments from the year 2021 to 2025. Okay. Now, government also realized that we need to boost the private participation. How can we do that? We can do that by boosting the FDI. So, earlier the FDI permissible limit was only of about 49%. But now the government has expanded it to over 74% under the automatic route. The next one is, and a very important policy, the Defense Acquisition Procedure of 2020. This is not the first time when this procedure was established. It has been done in the previous years also, but in this year it was very significant because it heavily increased the content requirement, the indigenized content requirement across all the categories. So what happens when government wants to procure or buy defense equipments? It has to follow some established standards. These standards are given in these procedures, and it is categorized into following types. For example, buy from India, buy from global but manufacture in India, so on and so forth. There are 5 such categories. Now, the amount that was the content requirement that was there in the initial year in the previous policy was quite less as compared to that given by 2020. So therefore, we have also increased the amount of indigenous content requirement. Second, in order to streamline and to smoothen up basically the flow of defense procurement in India from one body to another, it set up a project implementation unit. It also helps to have faster decision making when it comes to defense procurement, because that is one of the major challenges of defense in India. That because of delay in decision making, a lot of old technologies are now incorporated in India. So therefore, we also need faster decision making, more streamlined flow of information and procurement. That is done by the Project Implementation Unit. Then Defense Production and Export Promotion Policy of 2020, very, very important because it called for the PSUs to have at least 25% of its revenue generation from the export of the defense materials or defense equipments that they are creating. So it had created an obligation on them. Second was the IDEX platform. IDEX platform was basically a challenge platform that was developed by Ministry of Defense, and it basically said that we need to promote our startups and the MSMEs by providing them financial support, financial grants from the Government of India, so that they can also start the domestic manufacturing of the defense equipment and also promote the innovation and new ideas in defense products. Then AI-enabled production needs to be done. For example, ICERA has been developed by India. This is Human Intrusion Detection System. And last but not the least, there is strategic partnership model going on in India. What happens over here? The companies or the corporates are made to tie up with the global original equipment manufacturers. This tie-up is there, which leads to the transformation of technology between both of them. And this transfer of technology leads to us enhancing our defense creation technologies, and therefore our production gets also enhanced. So this is how we will be able to briefly modernize the defense architecture in India. Now, let's come to the second topic. This is about forum hunting. Why is this in news? Because a bench led by Supreme Court's Judge A.S. Oka has flagged prevalence of forum hunting in Indian judiciary. So let's understand about this very important but very simple to understand topic of forum hunting, also known as forum shopping or venue shopping. Now see, this is very interesting. For you to understand it in a better way, let me tell you a story. For example, a person A is living in MP, Madhya Pradesh. She went to Bihar and there she brought a necklace. Upon coming back to MP, she realized this necklace is not good enough. This is faulty. So now she has got two options. Either to settle the dispute between B, person who's living in B, where the shop was, or either to have a suit filed in the court. Now, what she chooses to do, she can either choose the jurisdiction of MP or she can choose the jurisdiction of Bihar. But she somehow understood that the consumer forum that she wants to approach, there, the compensation that is given by the MP's Consumer Forum Court is much higher as compared to Bihar. So now she basically bargains between two, compares between the two, and chooses the MP High Court. What she is doing? She is doing a shopping. She is doing a hunting of the right court for herself so that she can get the right amount of compensation. Is it really a bad thing or not? We will analyze in this article. But before that, forum hunting, how do we define this? This is when a litigant or a lawyer deliberately moves their cases to a particular forum or a particular court or a particular judge. For example, I want to file a case, I am the plaintiff, and now I have got 4 judges option in front of me. I can file cases in front of anyone. Now, for example, I have got good ties and good faith in judge number 4. Then instead of going for judge number 1, 2 and 3, I will rather simply select lacking objectivity, judge number 4, and this is forum shopping for me. Okay, so you must have seen the movie of Jolly LLB. So what happens in that movie? The lawyer could have moved to Allahabad High Court for filing his case, but because he wants global limelight, he wants national limelight of his case, so he chooses to move to Supreme Court. So this is also how he is making a choice between the two things. Achha, why people make these choices? First of all, because it can give them political mileage, it can make them more powerful, it will attract more number of clients. So there are some malified intentions as well, but there can be some positive intentions as well. So what are these? What are the advantages of forum hunting? First of all, it accords for better grievance redressal mechanism for the plaintiff. See, because you will be able to seek justice and compensation in a court where you have got the faith. You know that this court has got a better reputation in resolving this kind of dispute. So therefore, you feel that it's better to go to a court which is more sympathetic towards your claims and your interest. The second reason why is it good is because it encourages competition and innovation between the different courts and between different forums, different judges, because they also want to attract more clients. They know that the performance of the second state court is more better. People will start going over there. They will get more money. Therefore, we also need to leverage. So therefore, it enhances positive competition and innovation. But then there are a lot many criticism, because of which in even the Supreme Court, many of the Supreme Court judges and the Chief Justice of India has also flagged the concerns regarding the use of forum hunting practice in India. So what are these? First of all, it compromises with the principle of natural justice. See, if I don't get to have fair hearing, or if I don't get to have an impartial tribunal, then it will erode my overall faith in the judiciary. Why will I go to the judiciary in the first place? So if plaintiff is making choice or a shopping among which court to choose or which judge to choose, then this is essentially harming the principle of natural justice, and also it is causing injustice with the opposition party or the person who is the accused. Then it also causes workload imbalance. If all of the cases are coming to MP's High Court rather than Bihar High Court, which is already having shortage of judges. Every High Court, every Supreme Court body, every tier of judiciary eventually has some shortage of judges. So therefore, it is already suffering from shortage of judges, and now there is overburdening of the work of a particular cases, and whereas the Bihar court is sitting idle in this case or in this particular matter or in this particular domain. So therefore, it creates workload imbalance across judiciary in India. This will also enhance the pendency cases further. Next, it hampers the judicial discipline, because you don't get to decide which judge to choose in a normal disciplined manner, but here you are exercising that. So it hampers the judicial discipline or the judiciary procedure of conducting a case. Second, it creates perception of bias among the people, bias or having partial behavior of the courts towards the people. Therefore, it erodes the faith of the people on the judiciary. Second, it also hampers the principle of finality. What will happen if one litigant is not happy with the decision of a court? It will move to multiple, or it will try to have cases on the multiple session court of a single high court. It will try to have or file cases among multiple judges as well. And this will eventually erode the principle of finality, which says that the case or the litigation should end at some point and should not be prolonged indefinitely. So because these criticisms are there, and because also there is colonial legacy of it, All of these practices have been inherited from the colonial practice. And what about them? What about the people of UK? The government in UK and US, they are themselves not following, and they themselves are against the forum hunting principle. They are also saying that we follow forum non-convenience principle, which means that if a case comes to me, I am the forum and I am the court, I have the right to refuse to exercise my jurisdiction over that case if I feel that some other forum, some other judge or some other high court would be more conveniently placed to deal with this case. So I can refuse to exercise the jurisdiction, and this is what UK and US are doing in order to prevent forum hunting or forum shopping in their countries. What is Indian judiciary stance on this? So it starts from 1988 for the first time, when the Chetak Construction Limited versus Om Prakash came sprawled up. Here's when judiciary for the first time said that litigants should not have the freedom to choose the court for their convenience, because again it is contravening with the principle of forum non-convenience of the court. Second case came in the form of Sipla case of 2017. Here a set procedure was established in the form of functional test as to decide whether a case which has come to some other court or some other jurisdiction is valid or not. In order to justify that, we have to do functional test. We have to check whether the person who has filed is genuinely seeking the justice in that court because he has been unduly rewarded somewhere else, or because he wants to engage in manipulative tactics, or he wants to have some undue gains. And then comes 2023's Dr. Khairunisa versus Jammu Kashmir case. Now here what happened? The petitioner was fined with 1 lakh rupees sanction by the High Court of Ladakh in Jammu and Kashmir. Why? Because the petitioner had filed multiple petitions in the single court in order to again shop for it, so that whichever one would give her the right decision or the favorable decision, she would go by that. So this was the Indian judiciary stance till now. We have seen that judiciary has performed sanction, has established functional test, and has also made it clear that we do not have the freedom to choose the court for our convenience. This is all about this topic. Now next one is green hydrogen. What is the context? That a recent study has been created by Climate Risk Horizons, and it is highlighted that India's green hydrogen policy may worsen the pollution if steps are not taken in the right place. So here we need to know about few things. First of all, what is green hydrogen and how many types of hydrogen are there? Second, what is India's green hydrogen production policy? What are its implications? All of this we are going to read. This pertains to GST part of the syllabus. We will be reading about environment conservation. So let's get on to it. Now green hydrogen. Green hydrogen is also the power fuel for the future. Now green hydrogen, because is divided into a multitude, a spectrum of colors. We are going to analyze each one of them. Now how are they divided? There is a certain basis established for this. There are two bases essentially. First of all is the source. That is the source from which the hydrogen is getting manufactured. And the second one is, if at all the hydrogen is manufactured from a hydrocarbon source, for example methane, for example natural gas or a fossil fuel like coal or petroleum, etc., then in that case, where is that carbon dioxide that is released? Where is it disposed? Or where is it released after the production of hydrogen has taken place? So on the basis of these two parameters, hydrogen can be divided into black and brown hydrogen, which is essentially the worst forms of hydrogen, the most polluting ones, because the source is gasification of coal, which leads to production of methane and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and therefore the carbon footprint is very high. Second is to utilize natural gas to extract the methane gas from the natural gas in the form of steam reforming, natural gas reforming, and this is known as grey hydrogen. This is also polluting but has lesser carbon footprint as compared to brown and black hydrogen. Then there is blue hydrogen and turquoise hydrogen. Now, if we are extracting it from natural gas, see what happens. Natural gas will be having methane. Now, methane has been subjected to pyrolysis, extreme high temperature. in the presence of oxygen. What are the byproducts? The byproducts are hydrogen and carbon dioxide. This is a greenhouse gas. If now it is covered under carbon capture, utilization and storage so that it is not released into the atmosphere, then this form of hydrogen that is produced, this will now be known as a blue hydrogen. Now, what if the source of hydrogen is a renewable source of energy? Because now we are performing hydrolysis. This is another method. We are only trying to disintegrate the water molecule with the help of electricity that is provided by some renewable energy, and that too the surplus amount of energy, the surplus renewable energy that is available, so that it doesn't hinder the energy security of the nation. So when we do that, we'll get hydrogen, we'll get oxygen. None of them are greenhouse gases. So this is completely cleaner form of hydrogen. Therefore, this is known as green hydrogen. Now, depending upon which form of renewable energy is used, if this is a nuclear energy, then this is known as a purple or pink hydrogen. If this is a mixed origin grid energy, then this is a yellow hydrogen. And if it is derived from wind or solar or hydro or geothermal or tidal, these forms of natural sources of renewable energy, then this is known as green hydrogen. So I hope the concept is clear to you now. Now, what are the benefits? First example is for the green hydrogen specifically. The first is it is environmental friendly. As you can see, there is no greenhouse gas emission. Also, there is no emission of any pollutant like sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, nothing. Nothing is there. Not even carbon monoxide is there. So therefore, it is having zero emission and very much environmental friendly. Second is it has grid stability. So what happens? It can be created with the help of electrolysis process. This electrolysis process can be bundled with, this electrolysis process can be bundled with the renewable energy infrastructure. So this will also help. The hydrogen that is stored will also have some fuel. It will act as a fuel, and it will act as a fuel in those times where the renewable energy is not able to produce itself. For example, the solar energy is not active during night. So you can utilize the energy from the hydrogen. So therefore, we will be able to have a 24/7 supply of electricity. Next, it will also help India to reduce its energy dependence on the imports of fossil fuels. We will be able to generate hydrogen from basic water bodies itself. So therefore, we will become energy independent. Next, it will also help us to fulfill our dream of becoming carbon neutral by the year of 2070 as promised by India under its Panchamrit principle. Next, it will also promote decentralization in Indian economy, because as you know that the procedure of developing hydrogen is very simple. You do not need to have coals. You do not need to have any kind of fossil fuel in your beset. What you only need is water with you and some form of renewable energy source in order to conduct the pyrolysis of this water. And this can be very easily done in the villages as well. So therefore, it also helps in decentralized production of hydrogen. Now, what is the National Hydrogen Mission of India? Now, this mission targets the production of 5 million ton of hydrogen by the year 2030. In order to produce this much hydrogen, in order to perform the hydrolysis and pyrolysis, we would be needing 125 gigawatt of renewable energy. India so far has produced or has renewable energy capacity of 131 gigawatt, and this figure keeps changing every now and then, it gets updating. So as we know that in order to create a green hydrogen, we have to take the use of renewable energy only. But we do not have sufficient amount of renewable energy generation so far. So in the Indian policy, what we have done, we have taken a different interpretation of hydrogen, green hydrogen. So the policy says that hydrogen produced in a way that emits no more than 2 kgs of carbon dioxide per kg of such hydrogen. So which means that in a way, we are also producing carbon dioxide. Now, this is not the legit definition of green hydrogen, as I have already told you. So, this is one of the loophole that this particular study has highlighted in the policy of hydrogen production in India. So, they have said that we are also trying to use some fossil fuels or some greenhouse gas emissions. So, Yes, we will be using renewable energy, we will be performing hydrolysis, but for the other part where we are falling insufficient of the amount of renewable energy, there what we will do? There we will utilize methane. And this is not the complete real definition of green hydrogen. Second thing is, it also has got environmental impact. So right now we do not have adequate renewable energy infrastructure. If we want to create more, what we will do? We'll clear off the forest lands. We will also cause forced eviction of many people over there. So therefore, potential large areas of renewable energy is needed for the installations, which will be accompanied by a lot of deforestation. Second, the electrolysis would require a lot amount of water. So this will also have a bearing on the levels of water consumption in India, which is already going through a water crisis. And last but not the least, there is a challenge of giving 24/7 availability of electricity supply using green hydrogen. Why? Because there is non-transparency about the use of energy. How are we using this energy, whether we are using complete green energy or whether we will be providing a bundling or a mix or a hybrid of energy in order to ensure the 24-hour supply, because right now the energy generation in India is not sufficient to support the 24/7 availability. Alright, coming to the next topic, in line with government's idea of creating one nation and one against something, we are now creating one nation, one student ID card for all the people, for all the students of India. Now, the context is, recently schools have been asked to seek parental consent for creation of new student ID. This is one among the features of Apaar ID that we will be reading under the new initiative of the center. So, what is the Apaar ID and what is its purpose? So, have you ever seen that since you are having such a vast academic record, you must be having certifications, you must be having a lot of degrees, you must be having many, again, achievement accords. And it becomes very tedious to hold all of them into a file folder, to maintain to make sure that they are not getting degraded easily, to not fret over losing those documents. And also it becomes very tedious and very hassled process to take it again and again to different places. For example, in job interview, for example, for uploading these files in your UPSC admissions. So therefore, what government has tried to do? Government wants now to create a single unique identification of every student of India. So in line of the Aadhaar, and Aadhaar is also getting attached to it. So in line of Aadhaar, government is trying to create a 12-digit unique ID. This will be known as Automated Permanent Academic Account Registry of the India. What is the aim of this? This is to basically streamline the admission process. If I want to take admission from one school to another, I do not have to bring all my folders again and again, all my degree certification, migration certificate, transfer certificate, etc. again and again. What I need to do, just give them this unique ID, this 12-digit unique ID, which will be having all of my academic credits, so that everybody can easily access to it. So the process will be becoming very hassle-free now. Next, students will also get the facility to digitally track their academic progress and also their co-curricular achievement, and also the process of document verification will also become hassle-free. Now, the second thing is, it has also got a unified district information system for education database. So this is a separate database that is created or that is maintained by the district administration. So this particular ID will also be utilized in this database. Their profile will be updated not only of their academic credits but also of their blood group, their height, their weights, etc. Now, how does Apaar ID work? So this is a unique Apaar ID, a student ID, which is linked to the Aadhaar of every student and will be giving you academic bank credit. That is, whatever academic records or whatever credits you have gained in your academic career, all of that will get reflected and stored into this. Next, it also enables data transfer, eliminating the need for maintaining the physical documents. Then, what is the process of registration of Apaar ID in case you want to register anybody you know? So, first of all, you need to give a basic information like your name and your name of your parents, etc. And then it needs to get verified. The data needs to get verified with the help of your Aadhaar card information. After that, the consent form will be taken. Consent for those students who are minor. So consent of their parents will be taken in the case the student is minor. In case not, then his own consent will be taken. Then also we must note that this Apaar ID is voluntarily in nature. It is not mandatory in nature. Next, what are the concerns regarding Apaar? So just like Aadhaar, this is also having some security concerns because there are cases of data breaches across India, right? So we have already studied in the lecture of cybercrime where UIDAI website was hacked. Some Aadhaar data was leaked. So leaking student information is also very possible. So therefore, data security is one concern over here. Next, the administrative burden on the school. They're already busy in doing the UDICE framework, which was District Information System for Education Database. They were already busy in creating that. But now they're also given the work of creating awareness about Apaar, getting the parental consent of all the students, and also performing Aadhaar linkage. So as a result of this, they will be able to do all the administrative work and not the academic work for which they are there. Now we already have a crisis of the number of teachers, quality teachers in India, and that too, those who are engaged in teaching in the academic work, if they are also made to do this much amount of administrative work, that would also cause an issue for them. So therefore, it naturally affects the academics, delivery of academic to the students. So these are some of the concerns around the Apaar ID. Let's see how it unfolds. The last topic is related to the ongoing or the highlighted, flagged lead poisoning in India. So recent research were conducted and they have revealed that over 90% of the paints that are consumed or that are used in India are having lead concentrations beyond the permissible limit of 50 parts per million, and about 76% of these paints are having lead concentration to up to 100 times of the permissible limit. This flags a huge concern and we need to make ourselves aware of what is lead menace of India. You can also see a PYQ has been asked on lead by the UPSC. So therefore again, it becomes important to read about such pollutants. So first of all, what is lead? Lead is a p block element which has got atomic number of 82 and mass of 207, which means it is a heavy metal. Heavy metal which gets bioaccumulated very quickly in the organic system. It is also found naturally occurring from volcanoes, you can see, from underground streams, you can see, from deep waters, you can see. It has also got vast industrial application. Why? Because this is very malleable. So becomes very easy to cast or to mold it, to create pipes out of it or to create any shields out of it. So it is malleable first of all. Second, also has got low melting point, very easy to cast. Also it is corrosion and acid resistant. This is the reason why paint materials use lead in them. It also imparts certain color, certain pigmentation. Therefore, it is also used in cosmetics. You must have read about the lead lipsticks. So what are the sources of lead poisoning? So there are multiple sources in the form of pigments, from gasoline, from natural gases, from fertilizers, pesticides, from mining operations, from underground explorations, from effluents of the storage battery, from smelting of ores, from waste also, from chimney of the factory. These are the basic sources of lead in the environment. This you can use in your mains answer writing. But then, when it comes to the mode of transmission, we can broadly divide them as one, that are polluting the air. So those are your paints, which does indoor pollution. Then there are lead batteries. Then there's mining activities, industrial effluents. All of this lead to air pollution. Then that which leads to water pollution. Deep underground water drilling for extraction of groundwater. Then the pipes that are used are also made up of lead. So lead leakages naturally happen. This also enters the food chain system via the water pipes. Next is food. So food is also a mode of transmission. Interestingly, the spices that we use in India today, especially the turmeric, that is also contaminated with lead to some extent. So we have understood that it is not quite possible to completely avoid lead from the food chain or from the environment. But there is some permissible limit which should be maintained. And for India, this permissible limit is of 0.1 milligrams per liter. Now, what is the gravity of lead pollution in India? Let's try to understand it across the stats. First of all, the most vulnerable section is the children. because it damages their neural capacity, develops anemia in them, whatnot. So therefore, children, and that too, 1/3 of the global children are affected by lead contamination. And India alone accounts for 50% of its population, 50% of its children population suffering from the contamination of lead. We also therefore rank first in the amount of lead concentration that is found in the blood levels of our children. That is more than 5 micrograms per deciliter, which is equivalent to 500 milligrams per liter. Can you see how much is it exceeding the permissible limit? Next is, let's check population wise. About 40% of the population when blood tested saw that has got more than 7 micrograms of lead in them. And then if we check state wise, 23 of the total states of India, of the 28 total states of India are found to be exceeding the limit of the permissible limit and are having the blood lead levels of 5 micrograms per deciliter. This is the amount of menace going on. What is the impact of lead on the health of a human body? So it hampers the functioning of multiple organs, but it majorly attacks the brain. It causes neurotoxicity, accumulates in the brain cells, and as a result of this, the cognitive development or the cognitive impairments can be seen, especially in the young children. It also lowers the IQ of a person who's suffering from this from 1 to 4 points. It also decreases the overall mental ability. Second, it also restricts the ability of the blood to create hemoglobin. As a result of this, a person affected from this also develops anemia. It also increases the blood pressure. So therefore, it impacts the heart, it impacts kidney, it impacts liver and whatnot. So this is the menace going on. So what can we do about it and what are the measures that are taken? First of all, we need to detect the amount of lead that is present in the atmosphere. We have got a measure for this. This is the sulfur index. Sulfur index also calculates the amount of lead, but it doesn't calculate the specific amount of lead. We are majorly unaware of the amount of leads that we are consuming via air, water or food, and therefore this threat is becoming a menace now in India. Next, we need to have a ban on the lead-based paint. India right now doesn't have a blanket ban, but yes, we have restricted. We have said that the permissible limit is only of about 90 parts per million, and that also is violated. Then, safe disposal and recycling of the e-waste, of the waste that is generated or the waste that is containing the lead should also be properly disposed. This is also given under e-waste management rules of 2016. So this was about lead poisoning going on in India. So I hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.